It's kind of late, but I had to say something. Okay, say never late. It's better late than never. All right, you know who it is, man. Happy Sunday. It's yours truly. It's Bernie the Boxer. I say, did you miss me? Yeah, I got to keep this one a little quiet. You know what I'm saying? The kitty's laying down, getting ready for school tomorrow. Wifey in the bed, getting ready for work tomorrow. And me, I'm up bored doing everything under the sun. Boy, I'm doing laundry. I'm throwing clothes away. Man, come on, man. I'm hanging up clothes. I'm giving stuff away. Man, anyway. So I got too much energy to burn. So I thought I'd get on here and say something. If you see me earlier today, I caught up with Mill City, you know what I'm saying? And I did a little take on the fights last night, which I didn't watch the main event fight. So which way I'm coming to you guys to tell you about the main event, give my take on the main event, which was Sabril Matias versus, what's the kid's name? Dalton Smith. Okay. Appreciate my boy, Just a Guy. Appreciate Charles Johnson, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all, you know. Thank you 1,000 times just for tuning in. You seen the kid going live. Everybody know what I got to say. Appreciate you. Luke Colazzo. Yeah. Happy New Year to all y'all, man. I think this is my first show for the year, right? My first time going live for the year over here on the show. Appreciate you, man. Go hype man of the great, of the GOAT, Bud Crawford, making Crawford. Hey, man. Okay. Calm. I ain't gonna get so upset about the hype man tag now. Forget it. I don't know. I'm gonna let it slide. What's up, big bro? Appreciate you. A Jackson. Yes, sir. Mike Moss. Yeah. Okay, so listen, man. I watched. I went with Mill City earlier today, and I gave a take on the fight. I didn't get to see the fight for real. I went to sleep on the fight, and I just woke up with the knockout. So yeah, man. I watched the fight, and it was an entertaining fight, man. That was an entertaining fight. I think you know what I'm saying, he came out sharp. Dalton came out sharp. Matias, you know, of course, came out, you know, plotting and pressing. And Dalton, you know, I think he had a great punch selection. You know, I thought he used his punch selection well, but you could see that the pressure of Matias was coming along. He started to throw punches in the second round, and then things got a little interesting. You know. Yeah, so hey, that was a hell of a fight. That was a great fight. I won't say a hell of a fight, but it was a really good fight, entertaining fight. Dalton Smith, he did well. I seen the controversy about him holding. Holding is part of boxing. You know, holding is a part of boxing. And that's how, you know, he was just holding him and not trying to punch. He was holding him to stop his momentum, which is a tactic in boxing. So I don't feel like that should have been holded against him. Now, the stoppage, maybe. Now he dropped him real hard. He did drop him hard, which was crazy. You know, hey, that boy got a chink in his armor. He got dropped, and you know, he recovered. Maybe should have took a little more time to get up. You know, give himself a little more time. He got up, he stumbled, but I think the referee definitely should have gave him another chance. You know, he didn't really. He gave him actually, you know, I'm thinking about it. The 8 count was why he was on the ground. He got up and stumbled. But, you know, as a ref, you still got to understand that, you know, the man's pride. You know, he jumped up probably too quick. Not that he was necessarily so hurt. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you could at least went on there and just probably let him keep going. You know, when I was talking to Mill City, I think Greg Hackett had mentioned that on Mill City that they thought they had something out against Matias for testing dirty or whatever. And you just never know what politics lie ahead, you know. But I don't know. I don't know what they had to gain to go against Matias, you know, in New York City, you know. It's a Puerto Rican. It's a majority of them. I don't know who was throwing the show. I don't know what affiliation is that. I thought Dalton Smith was with Eddie Hearn, so I'm not sure. But I mean, man, you know, I don't know. But the fact is, he did get dropped and he did stumble, you know, and it's up to the referee's discretion to you know, whether he should stop the fight or not, you know. So it was on Matias not to get dropped, you know. So shout out to Dalton Smith for putting the gas on him and stopping that man, dropped him. And it was Matias' fault, you know. Like I say, again, not only that, you know, he was just walking in without not moving his head, not trying to catch none of the punches, just taking them on the chin. He never adjusted to the guy was looping around. He had a high guard. Dalton Smith was looping around and was landing that shot from round 1. So, I mean, you know, it was up to him to be a world champion, you know, to adjust. He's a 2-time world champion. So he should have been able to adjust in that. At least we would think so, you know, with his experience and things like that. But he didn't. And, hey, that chin busted. So shout out to Dalton Smith. Dream come true. Every fighter, when he step in the ring or become a professional, his goal is to be a world champion. He did it in great fashion. So, he's riding. 2026 is looking great for him right now. A new player in the game. Like I say, it's big things going on with Shakur and Teo, fighting for the true championship on the 31st. You got Richard Hitchens. I see they's going up. Richard Hitchens going up against, who was the kid they said again? Duarte, who coming off for a big win over Kenny Sims. And, yeah, so it's a good things going on with that. And that's for what, WBA title? What's that? IBF title? IBF title fighting Richard Hitchens title. You got the WBA title going up with Gary Antoine Russell fighting his mandatory, all on the same card of Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia welterweight clash. So, I mean, that's going to be 3 world title fights. I'm hearing 4, but those are the 3 I can name at the time, which is going to be a high-profile card because, how the popularity of Ryan Garcia, I think Barrios' popularity has went up, being that he fought Pacquiao. And he's in one of the most prestigious divisions it is, which is the welterweight division. Of course, Devin Haney has pumped new blood in the division with his superstardom and his accolades being in the division. So, while it's not the strongest division, I still think it has a lot of eyes on it, being that for the things that I named, Ryan Garcia, who his popularity and controversy, Mario Barrios with his fight against Pacquiao and his fights against Tank, people seeing him and know he's a respectable fighter. And, of course, again, like I said, you got Devin Haney going up there and winning the title against Brian Norman and all the things that he brings to the ring. So good things going. Good things are going. And so this is going to be a huge card is what I was trying to say, is that you got Antoine Russell going up, and you also got Hitchens going up on the undercard against Duarte, which is not a easy fight. He's a strong fighter. Keep coming forward. He don't take a backward step. He's not really a boxer. He's a crude puncher. A hard puncher and a guy like that. So, and a fighter that brings a lot of pressure. I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. Richard Hitchens is not known as a puncher, so we're going to see how he can deal with the pressure. He had trouble in his past against Lemos, and, a lot of people thought he lost that fight, but I think he might have gained a lot from that fight. Shout out to Conor Ben. You did say that. Showed up. You're right, Conor Ben. Appreciate you. Conor Ben, yep, of course, coming off that big win against Eubank. So the welterweight division is, like I say, it's not a real killer division, but it's an interesting division and not bad, and not bad. But like I was saying, Richard Hitchens going up against Duarte, and how can he deal with the pressure? So he's going to get a chance to kind of somewhat redeem himself, from the Limos fight and see how he deals with that. So shout out to Richard Hitchens. He was supposed to be fighting on the undercard with Jermaine Ortiz. And, I would say this not as big, but almost as big. Ryan Garcia is still popular, and but the matchup is not as received as well. You got 2 A+ fighters with Teo and Shakur, and, I think you got a B fighter plus with a B- fighter with a B fighter, going up. So with the Barrios and Ryan Garcia. So, but still a huge card, still a big spotlight on him, and a good opponent in front of him to give him the experience as needed to rise to the top in a crowded division at the 140-pound division. You got Keyshawn Davis also that took the spot of Richard Hitchens going up against Jermaine Ortiz, that's making his new debut at 140 as the aforementioned main event, Teo and Shakur. Of course, you got Gary Antoine Russell. So 140 is pumping blood. So shout out to all those guys, but so with some big things going, man. But like I say, and then like I say, you got Dalton Smith. Dalton Smith, England's finest, going up, man, with a beautiful knockout against Matias. Beautiful knockout against Matias, man. You can't win the championship no better than that, So, man, I know he's riding a wave right now, and he's an entertaining fighter. They was getting busy, but I like I say, for the controversy in the fight, I don't believe the holding, but that's a tactic, Like I said, he wasn't holding and not trying to punch. He was holding to slow his momentum down, which I think he did well. I think Devin Haney does the same thing, And I'm one of those guys too. You know, I'm a holder too. I'm gonna hold you. I'm gonna stop you from everything you're doing. I'm gonna tie you up, both arms, and lock them both up. I'm gonna walk you. I'm gonna turn you. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm gonna step off. You hear me? Come on now. I'm gonna make you. Well, I'm gonna make you work double time. So, boxing is, you know, is a thinking man sport. So shout out to Dalton Smith. You know, what can I say? He showed a chin. He showed heart to fight. He wasn't just in there. Like I said, he was swinging them. Man, he was fighting. He was trying to. He wanted to win, and you could see that. So, again, shout out to him, man. We had Emmanuel Rodriguez, former world champion, going up, getting himself together after being had a long layoff. You know, he was a two-time IBF champion. Notably lost to Inoue when he was becoming undisputed champion. And like I say, he looked good. You can see he's a seasoned professional fighter, 33 years old. So he's probably still leaving his prime, still in his prime somewhat. I know he's been in some tough fights, but like I say, a two-time world champion. I thought he looked good. The guy that he fought, of course, he went down earlier as a tough, rugged guy, 16-6, I think was his record, from Mexico. You know, went down in the first round, but, you know, usually they come back stronger. You know, they Mexicans, boy, they tough. So, again, it was all Puerto Rican-Mexican rivalry as I think about it. But like I say, the kid got up and gave the kid some work, gave Rodriguez some work. You know, the division is going up. You got a little Inoue over there. I think you got it was another Japanese guy that's moving up, trying to look for a shot at the IBF championship. You know, of course, you got Nakatani that moved out of division, seeking going up against Inoue for the undisputed championship at 122. And so 18 ain't bad. Still got Donaire moving around in there. You got the guy that beat Donaire right around in there. So not a bad division. You know, Rodriguez, you know, like I say, solid fighter, a good right hand, sneaky right hand, great left hook. You know, and he did that step back hook. So all my guys, when I go back and when I go to the gym tomorrow, I'm gonna tell them to rewatch that fight and see that step back hook. You know, and it worked perfectly for him. So that's one of my favorite moves, just step back hook. And man, so good things happened in that. You know, wasn't a bad card. You know, it was entertaining. The guys came to fight. You know, Latin guys always come to fight. You know, really ain't no dancing around. And so it was a good little card. And, you know, the main event didn't disappoint at all. A lot of knockouts. It was pretty good. I didn't get to see the kid. I'm going to look him up. I don't know if it was Crowder. It was Connolly, they said, the 118-pounder that he became, I don't know, he was undefeated. So they say he looked pretty good, I guess. A black fighter, matter of fact. What I'm saying is a 118-pounder Connolly or something. Conlon, so I'm going to go check him out. But other than that, it was a great card, and man, shoot. So I want to just come here and give my take about the fight because I hate talking about something that I really don't know, and I have to get better at things like that. I was being honest. I told him that I did go to sleep on the fight, but I did when I heard that he knocked him out. I jumped up and I watched what I could of it, you know, but I missed the nuances of the fight. And like I say, the guy came to fight. He did everything. It was an entertaining fight. Matias, not bad. I wouldn't count Matias out, you know. Like I say, you could see he was upset about the fight. And you know, he was coming on. They was fighting. They were both trading blows. And Matias looked like he do what he do. He just, you know, you can't take all them punches clean like that. Maybe, you know what I'm saying, without falling ain't no good for you. And it just didn't work out for him that way. But I still think Matias could be all right. But he's a little 33 years old. First knockout, I think. That was his first time being knocked out. He lost to Paro. That was his only defeat. And then, like I say, he had that good fight with Pollo. And but it went the distance. So this is his first knockout. You know, he was upset. Maybe he get a rematch, you know. Maybe he get a rematch. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, let's get to some questions, man. Appreciate everybody in the chat. You know who it is. You know what it is. It's yours truly. It's Bernie the Boxer. All right. Yeah, Mr. Hightower 1 says, is Keyshawn gonna ever return to y'all team? No, I don't know. You know, I doubt it. You know what I'm saying? I think we had a good little run. You know, got him to the world championship. He became a world championship under our tutelage. And you know, I think he's probably in a good situation. You know, where he's at. You know, far as a comfortable. You know, I say a good fighter is a happy fighter. You know, and I think he's with a good group of guys that can all motivate each other. You know, you got of course he with Shakur, seen Ray Savage down there. You know, so I think, you know, you got Zay Quinn, and you got Lil Manny. You know, of course you got Shakur. but I would say is the leader, in a sense, And so, I think they all working good. I think got some good coaches around there. You got Coach Ron is a really good coach. Pop know what he talking about, but I think Coach Ron is a good coach, and I think they doing good down there. So, it was unpleasant, upsetting that we couldn't keep our relationship going, but it's love. You know what I mean? We wishing for him the best for him. I think he's a super talented fighter. It's always love, and I wish him nothing but the best. So shout out to Keyshawn Davis. Can't wait to see him return, man. Everybody loves a comeback story. Redemption is the key, and he's on that road. So I wish him nothing but the best. Blue Hustle Man says, talk to him, Bernie. Yeah. Stimulated Student says the 31st card is stacked. I'm excited to see Shushu fight. Yes. Yes, and I'm glad that Shushu is getting a fight to where he's not getting upgraded to the championship. He's actually fighting for the championship. And that's all you can ask for, with this. It's nothing new under the sun, and boxing is one of the forays that's been around since the beginning of time, and there's nothing new in boxing. And Shushu was getting a shot at the title. So, you couldn't get a shot at the champion. We see what happened with Stephen Fulton where, he missed weight, fighting Oshaki, moving up to 130 pounds. He was still the WBC champion. I couldn't tell you what happened with that situation, but he was no longer the WBC champion. So the WBC went to their next two available challengers or highest ranking challengers and put those guys together in the ring for to fight for the world championship. And that's all you can do, as a fighter. You want to be able to win your championship in the ring, which is where championships are won, in the ring, not on the fax machine. So shout out to Shushu. He's an exciting fighter. He was a very accomplished amateur, and like I say, he's been pretty impressive in his few pro fights that he has. What's Shushu? I don't even know how many. He ain't got that many fights, but as of late, he's been impressive. He's had some struggles as well, but they all come along with experience. And he's fighting for the world championship, which he's been clamoring for. And what better way to do it in your hometown, in the Mecca of boxing? So shout out to Shushu, man. Yeah. And who else we got on there? It's like we got Keyshawn. Ooh, man. We got Carlos Adames. I love Carlos Adames. I think Carlos Adames is a good little fighter. I don't think he gets enough credit, or he's not getting enough ticks. I see him and Laura's not going to fight, so you're never going to turn to supremacy. But we ain't going to hear nothing about that. Ain't nobody going to say nothing about that. Why? Because Laura's old and Adames is, not seen as a superstar. So we're not going to hold them to the same standard, which I'm just talking. I'm just running off at the mouth. I don't really care. I don't mind if they fighting. But, to gain supremacy, it's like, supremacy. I don't know how close they are, though. True story. I don't know. But I do know the situation with Keyshawn and Shakur, but neither one is in each other's way, so that's a difference. These guys are actually title holders, so one of them holds the key to supremacy in the division, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. I don't know who all in the 160-pound division. I would consider Carlos Adames the top. I know you had Janibek, test dirty, so I think that drops him down a couple points. But so I would put Carlos Adames maybe at the top, maybe Lara for real. I'll put Lara at the top, Adames close second. Then I would put Janibek third. But either way you want to slice it. I think Janibek, he got a lot of hype about him. But obviously he doesn't believe that much in himself if he has to use a performance enhancing. So I'm going to drop him down just on that fact. But like I say, not a bad division. 60 pound is one of the first 8 weight classes. Not a bad division, but so we got Carlos Adames going up on there as well. So we got 4 title fights. We got Adames, we got Shushu fighting for WBC, we got the kids fighting for the WBA in the Ring Magazine, and you got a 10-rounder going up against. You know what? That wouldn't have been a bad eliminator though. They could have made Keyshawn him an eliminator fight, even though it's they first fight at 40, but still, he's a world champion. They doing worse. So they could have made that an eliminator. But, it's going to be a great night of boxing. I'm super excited about the fight. And speaking of that, so let me give you a little information about what we got going on. We got Jamar Talley going up on the 30th in the new Zuffa. Got that new league, Zuffa, going up. So I think they're going to do their first show at the Apex Center January the 30th. So we go on January the 30th with Jamar Talley. He's looking to become 5-0 in the cruiserweight division. And, also we got some local fights going up, some homegrown guys coming from the gym from B&B Boxing Academy. We got Carlito Garribo going up, making his pro debut at 126. Was a national semifinalist. We got Alan Penduro, a couple times national champion, seeking to become 5-0, I believe. We also have who's a boxer puncher, and all like just a technician. Alan, I would say he's a boxer puncher. He's going to hurt you, but he got some real good boxing skills, some beautiful moves in there. Carlito, I would think he's a pure boxer. I'm looking for a Willie Pepish. You know what I'm saying? And this kid, got a lot of promise. He's like our baby, Carlito Garribo. And you got Jose Camacho, who was a pressure fighter, boxer puncher type, 9-0, 122 pounds, going up. Who else we got? We got Ali Taha, and all the stuff, excitement he brings, Ali, 8-0 or something like that, 218 pounder. And who else we got? So we got some things going, man. So it's looking good. We in training camp right now. And the guys is getting ready for February 22nd in Lincoln, Nebraska. And so we're super excited about that, going into training camp. And that's just what we got going. We got Charles Lolo Harris getting ready, from San Bernardino, California. If you see him on Pro Box, you can check him out. Go out, Charles Lolo Harris, check him out. Super talented guy, boxer puncher at the same time, too, 140-pounder, dazzling speed, concussive power, cat-like reflexes, and so I'm looking for big things from Lolo. Man, like I say, a real student of the game, and he's going up. Like I say, you catch him on Pro Box. We got Lester Martinez. Oh, y'all know who Lester is. We got Lester Martinez getting ready for something in March. I don't know where it's going to be, but should be for a title eliminator, something of that status. But so things are going well, and that's just what's going on with us, And I thought about that because of the dates is so close. The 31st, we'd be watching Shakur. But before that, we'd be at the Apex going up with my boy Tally, trying to get the knockout. You hear me? Okay, he said Dixon deadlifts. Matthias is Team Austrian too, though. Yeah, he got caught. Hey, listen, he got caught, and maybe it's karma to what happened to him. Hitsman Sports Media says the plaster of Matthias' gloves didn't harden fast enough. T. Mama says, hey, Bernie, Happy New Year. Appreciate you. Blue Hustle Man says, you can also say that the ref stopped the fight a little too early. He seemed as if he got his bearings back, in my opinion. I think so, too. You could tell the way he reacted, so maybe the referee did jump in just a little too early. And he was a world champion. So, I seen an article where Matthias said, I would have rather went out on my shield. Yes. But, you know what I'm saying? As prideful as you are, it's the referee's job to make sure that you go home safe to your family, and that's and the ref don't want that on his heart, The ref don't want that on his heart. And, you don't want to put that on another fighter, So the best thing to do is don't give him an excuse to take it from you. That's what me and y'all used to say. You gave him a reason to rob you. You gave him a reason to take it from you. So, you just got to do better. Blue Hustle Man says, Ring 6 is a very good fight card in my opinion. HDL1 says, Shushu is 28 years old, 16-0, 9 knockouts. Not bad, not bad. They're getting fights a little earlier right now. And I think Shushu, I say he's not entering his prime yet. I think they bringing him along just right. And, with a guy as talented as Shushu is, in the 26-pound division is not a deep division, why not give him a shot at the title? Known Striker says, you think Keyshawn got the skills to hear Devin? You think Keyshawn got the skills? I think, yeah, hell yeah, definitely. Keyshawn can fight with the best of them, Keyshawn is a superstar, true story. I will never stop saying that. Keyshawn got everything it takes, to like I say, he was already a world champion. And people giving him flack about who he beat for the world championship, but you got to understand that guy was also an Olympian and a silver medalist at the same time. So you can't take it away from him. And he was coming off his biggest win, which was Navarrete. And if you've seen Navarrete, he's not the most pleasing eye to watch far as a skillful tactician, as you would say. He's a very unorthodox fighter. But, you know what I'm saying, he brings the heat, and he was a three-weight world champion. And Baranchyk was coming off one of the best wins, and it was a clear victory for Baranchyk. So I wouldn't say that, that it was a gimme fight for Keyshawn. He might have did have a lot of attributes over the guy, but the guy was a solid guy, and he was the champion of the world. So what you gonna do? You have to fight the champion in front of you, and that's what he did, and he looked spectacular doing it. So shout out to Keyshawn Davis. But as far as fighting Devin Haney, I think it's an intriguing fight. Of course, they both got high profiles. The world is clamoring for these type of matchups, and there's no losers, whether your hand get raised or not, there's really no losers, as long as you got Turkey going in, he's definitely financially taking care of you, so you have nothing to complain about in your pocketbook. And like I say, when you're fighting the best of the best, there really are no losers, and this is what we are talking about. We're talking about a three-weight world champion in Devin Haney, a former undisputed champion. We're talking about a world champion in the silver medalist in Keyshawn Davis, and, these are the fights that should be happening, at a certain point, Like now, I would say this fight that Keyshawn is having is a showcase fight, and you got to have showcase fights. All the fighters before them had showcase fights. You can't fight the killers back to back because it ain't good for the business, So you got to give them something to clamor about, something to talk about, and something to be looking forward to. So I think it'll be a good fight in time. Let's just see how Keyshawn does against Jermaine Ortiz. And I think Jermaine Ortiz is going to give him everything that he wants, going to challenge him in every way. And if Keyshawn blows through him, then that just know how super special Keyshawn is, because ain't nobody did that. His only losses was to guys like Lomachenko, which a lot of people thought he won, and of course Teofemo, which a lot of people thought he won as well. But if Keyshawn go in there and blow him out, I'm saying, this guy ain't took no beatings. He's a young guy as well. I'm saying, that just show you how special Keyshawn is. So let's just see what happens on the 31st. But I think that's a great fight. Pierre Winfrey. What's up, Bernie? Chicago in the house. Hey, they got it done. They got it done. Shout out to the Birds. They got it done, man. They got it done, man. They finally beat the Packers, and I guess they in the wild card, man. Stimulated Student says, I'm glad Bud whooped on Canelo. Dude was stalling out the division. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't know if he was stalling out the division or not. I know he wanted to see David Benavidez, but I think David Benavidez was looking for clout, though. I think he wanted the clout more than the greatness. You know what I'm saying? He need to fight guys his own size. This guy has been killing himself to make weight. You could tell he don't even look good in the weight. He looked like a fat guy that lost the weight, but, at the same time, like I say this all the time, when you don't have the power, then a certain way you got to play the game. You know what I'm saying? And I said this again. My dad always told me that you get more honey with vinegar than you do. You get more vinegar. You get more honey with. You get more honey. You get more with honey than you do with vinegar. Damn, Bernard. Wow. But we lied, baby. Ain't no cuts, ain't no edits, ain't no nothing. You know what I'm saying? You get more with honey than you do with vinegar, So if you be sweet, you got a better chance, instead of you being mean. So I think Benavidez he kind of went about it the wrong way. You got to, like they said, a lot of people want to hear about themselves, in the 48 laws of power, or, say never outshine their masters. It's all different things, all ways you can look at it, and he should have just greased his palm a little bit, made him feel good, greased his ego, you know what I'm saying? And maybe the kid would have fought him, kind of, he should have subtly tugged at his ego and instead of trying to bully his way. But it is what it is. He's going up to fight Zito Ramirez, and I think that's more of a fight in his realm. And at the same time, there's no need of begging guys for fights. If the guy don't want to fight you, there's no need for begging guys for fights. You have to just go on and make your own path. You know what I'm saying? And probably people did want to see that fight. David Benavidez is an exciting fighter. Probably, Canelo didn't have nobody in his way to no real dance partner in that situation. So that was the biggest fight in the division. So I do understand what you were saying. So Crawford stepped up and made it a bigger fight. And shout out to Crawford for doing his thing. He sure enough went out there and handled his business. Raskin Rog says Lester hard rock. Man, Lester tough. Boy, Man, wasn't they going back and forth like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, man? And I know oh boy didn't eat no dinner for a week. All them uppercuts he ate, he didn't eat no dinner for a week. That's why he didn't want that fight. He said, man, I didn't eat. I lost 30 pounds because I couldn't open my mouth. The man I didn't get my jaw wired because Lester hit me with so many uppercuts. I ain't going there against him. Ain't in there. He got Bo and Saul and Red and Bernie in the corner. Oh, he going to be better next time. This is the best I can get. He can get better. Everybody know he got more upside. Now I'm going to pass on him. I'm going to go on and pass on him. We don't want Lester no more. You know he one of them guys. You, like I say, you get past him. If you can avoid him, do it. Okay. Hashman Boxer says, yes, sir, Bernie. Appreciate you. Cuz, what's happening? Happy New Year's, man. Shout out to you, man. Love you, man. Happy all that good stuff. Happy belated birthday. Happy all the good stuff you got going, man. I love you. So proud of you. You know, you're one of my heroes, man. I'm just ecstatic of the man that you become. I mean, man, the way you raising your family, everything that you stand for, man. Like I say, you truly one of my heroes. I love you. And you know, that'll never change. And shout out to everything that you're doing down there. I love you, man. Yes, sir. Appreciate you for tuning in. All right. He says, Lester going to rematch him. I just told you, Hank. And Billy don't want it. So we in line for the title somehow, some way. You know, we right there. You know, they ain't just gonna give it to him. We gotta fight because that was like our first big stage fight. You feel me? So we gotta get to another one first, and they probably give a shot at the title because, like I say, Lester is an entertaining fighter. I think he got the charisma. You know what I mean? He got the punching power, and you know what I'm saying, he got everything that you would want to see in a future star. And like I say, the division ain't really popping right now, 68. So you know what I'm saying? Lester gonna bring pop to the division. So it's good business to get Lester in line for that title. Okay. Stimulate students. I'm sorry, I'm not impressed with Devin. He has good feet, but besides that, he's basic. But you know, basic is all you need. A straight 1-2. You hear me? A straight 1-2. Like I say, you know, Devin Haney, I'm not excited to watch him fight, but I'm gonna watch him. You know what I'm saying? Anytime boxing is on, I'm excited. You know, give me something to be doing, and you know, so shout out to Devin Haney. You know what we got to do is. I think, you know, he just need the right opponent to bring it out of him. You know, I think you need the right opponent. And I really thought Shakur was going to do that. You know what I'm saying? I think Keyshawn will do that. I think these guys will bring out the best in each other, you know. So, you know, when you're in there boxing, it's a tough game, you know. It's a tough game. You know, Devin, you're right. But he is a winner, and we got to pat him on the back for that. So, you know, shout out to Devin Haney. Dixon Deadlift says Bernie is semen retention a benefit or a waste of time from your experience. I think it's all mentally on you, you know. I think it's all mentally on you. I remember this one time I was getting ready for, man, a true story. I was getting ready for the National Golden Gloves in like 2001 or something. And I ended up losing the fight to the national champion, Aaron Garcia, which I thought I won for real. But I remember, you know, I had an old lady at the time, and you know, I was wanting to try to be like the old time fighters, and you know, save myself a little bit. But man, you know, I tempted myself, man, and man, I had her sit on me, man. I told her I didn't do much. I just had her sit on me, you know, and man, you know, after you don't know how, once she get in there, you know what I'm saying, you ain't gonna want to tell her get up, you know, until something happened, you know, so. You know, I kind of felt bad about that. I don't think it happened to me at the time. You know, like I was thinking about it in the fight, maybe after the fight. Not that I felt weak or nothing, but so I think it's all mentally, it's on you. You know, some fighters don't mind restraining and some fighters do. But I think that, you know, along with everything else that causes you to be cranky and, you know, keep you on edge, you know, that's one of them. You know, on top of getting up every day, training, running, you know, doing the same old thing, eating the food you don't like to eat, not being with your family, not, you know, doing the things that you're used to. And it heightens things because, you know, really when you're in training camp, it's like, it's only, you know, it's your mental, it's you can't or you have to, you know. And when anytime you add those elements, you know, I think it heightens everything. Somebody tell you can't have something, you want it more, you know, as opposed to you can just go do it whenever you want. It really means nothing. You know, you run, when you feel like it, and you feel good when you do it. But because you have to every morning or this morning, you feel like, damn, I hate doing this shit, So I think it's all mental, And if it helps you good to stay away from the women, do it, If it helps you to have a woman, then do that too, It's all on you. Every fighter's different. Blue Hustle Man says Shakur could knock down Tio, especially since he's added the 5 pounds. Remember, everyone is saying Shakur has no power. And that's the dumbest thing. That's the dumbest thing you could say about a fighter, That's the dumbest thing you could say about a fighter. But you have to also put those things into context. Sometimes people take things out of context, not mean that he don't hit hard, but he's just not knocking guys out. But you think them punches don't hurt? Of course they hurt. All of them, they hurt. So like I said about Devin Haney, that's the worst thing you can do is believe that, that just don't make no sense. I mean, this guy is lifting weights. This guy is doing all these exercises with his arms. How you not expect him not to be strong? You know what I'm saying? How you expect him not to be strong? And sometimes your knockout is not necessarily about your power. It's about placing your punches, So it's just like like the bull, you got to stab him here, stab him there, and catch him in the right spot. Most of the times, it's a process of knocking a guy out. You break them down slowly, and then you take them out of there. Now, some guys have concussive power, like a Tyson, like a Tank. Who else? Like a Julian Jackson, like a Tommy Hearns. You know what I'm saying? They can hit you on the button one time and you going out. But most fighters, well, a lot of fighters, have that where, it's accumulation type of thing, and it's where you place your punches, So, but at any rate, Shakur, all depends, I think he can do a lot of things in the ring, but with his style, I think so. You just never know. You get that kid on the roll. You see, he had them great fights with Jamel. I think he had a great fight with Oscar. I think he had a great fight with of course, with Zepeda. It's just all about, placing his punches well, and letting his hands go, because he has the speed. He has the punch selection to do it. I would love to see him add his right hook a little bit more in his repertoire. I would love to see him do that. I think that right hook is an underrated weapon for a southpaw. I would like to see him do that, but, this is a huge fight for him. I think he's super motivated, both of them. They both are fighting for not only just notoriety, supremacy, accolade, acceptance, all these different things that there's going into this fight, which what I would say, it's like spontaneous combustion. So never know, if he gets the knockout, Shakur got some knockouts, lesser guys, dropping them to the body and stuff like that. So, when you get to that high level, it's hard to get those knockouts, you know what I'm saying? And then you fighting a guy that's, really your size, a strong, talented guy, that's going to be kind of hard. A lot of those guys, they fighting lesser guys. So, that's when the knockouts come. So you see with Keith Thurman, they was calling him one time until, he started getting up with the upper echelon and all the knockouts disappear. Same thing with Berlanga, so unless you know what I'm saying, now better be, a different type of guy. This guy's like a tank, Okay. What do you think about the Matias loss? I think he can come back, I think he can come back. It was an entertaining fight. Dawn Smith was there to fight, and I think he can come back. You get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. You heard me? Speaking of David, I think that fight with Matias just lost looked just like David Morrell fight. David was low-key getting touched up badly. Yeah, true story. Morrell, he about to fight somebody too. I think he fighting for the WBA title or something, for the real title or something like that. Morrell not bad, but I think they rushed him into that fight. I think they rushed Morrell into that fight, I think they rushed him into that fight. Morrell only had a lot of, he's a Cuban, but every Cuban ain't great, okay? Every Cuban's not great. They're from Cuba, but every Cuban's not great. The ones that stand out, stand out. He wasn't really a standout. He's not like that. But I think he showed he was on that level. David Benavidez is just a different type of animal, and you know what I'm saying. I mean, shoot, like I say, he's a world champion. Been fighting young. Been in the gym with a lot of great fighters at an early age. So David Benavidez is not no joke, and I don't think he was ready for him. But Morrell, still young enough to come back. Still, he took some punishment in that fight, but not enough to end his career. So, he's on his way back. I got Cora beating the sheesh out of T.O. I can see a TKO. If he pressing. What's up, Bernie? Salute to the chat. Yes, sir. Yaya Burrow 6272 says hit the like button and run them subscriptions up for the boy. Appreciate you. Yeah, do that. Do a couple things for me with my DB3 up. You know what I'm saying? Like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. You hear me? Who I got? I got 43, which is cool. Appreciate everybody. Like I said, you can always run it back. I have no qualms with that. This one second time catching you live. I like your honest take on boxing. It's cool what you're doing. Keep it up, man. Appreciate you. Will you be helping Shakur or T.O., Bernie? Not, no, definitely. Oh, for T.O. I wanted to. I mean, he asked me to come up. And, we had a couple of dates worked out where I was supposed to come out. But, unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. I don't know why he chose not to bring me up. I think I would have been a great asset, but maybe in the future. And at the same time, it was around the holidays, too. And I had just been gone for so long. Actually, I've been gone most of the year. We had big fights all this year. So, it was good just to be home with the family. Old lady she hates when I'm gone, need help with the kids. The kids miss you and things like that. So, and then plus I love being home with the family too. So while it would have been a great opportunity to be helping them in such a fight of that magnitude, I'm not upset about it, because being with your family is priceless. And I was able to do that and not feel some type of way, not be out in Vegas in training camp, waking up, man, not there for Christmas, not there for New Year's, not there for Thanksgiving and things like that. So even though nothing just happened, we were just together. You can't beat nothing like that, just being with the family. So it's not about the presents. It's not about, the food or anything. It's just about spending that time. So, I couldn't ask for nothing else, and maybe in the future. But it would have been a great opportunity. I was really looking forward to that. Ask Jamel Herring if Shakur can't punch. People tripping. But, it was great punch election. He was throwing a lot of punches, too. Shakur beats T.O. and sends his ass to 147. Brian, do you think the winner of T.O. versus Shakur will be the face of new era boxers? Well, I think they already are. I think Shakur is more as a new face, because he's getting in a right now. This is the biggest spotlight he's been in right now. I think he's always been a popular fighter, but right now he's getting into like a superstar status type of fight, headlining a pay-per-view. They think this is his first headlining pay-per-view, so I think for him, of course not for T.O., you know what I'm saying? This is not nothing new for him, but I think he's definitely in the era. He's one of the new, in this era's guys. He's definitely this era. Now, probably the face. I don't know about the face, but one of the faces, one of the faces. I think if Shakur, if he can get the fights that he wants, I think he can be that. I think he'll be just somewhat like a Mayweather, where, what I'm saying, can you beat him? What I'm saying? He just gonna beat you. And the more people want to pay to see him lose, I don't think he has charisma, but he's not as outgoing. He doesn't have many punchlines like Mayweather, you know what I'm saying? But as far as his talent and his ability, you know what I'm saying? And I think if he get the challenges, I think he could be the face, because I think he's one of the guys that, it's going to be really hard to beat. So I think he could be that. I think he got his head on. I think he's pretty mature. And, I think he's always seen himself as the man. And in due time, as you've seen with all the fighters, eventually your time will come, and this might be the beginning of his time. Okay, he says, any standout guys waiting to debut from your team? Yes, like I just told you, we got Carlito Garibo. You can check him out on Instagram at Carlito Garibo. Like I say, his 26-pound debut. He was a national semifinalist. Man, just a hell of a boxer. Like I say, his eyes like a hawk, like an eagle. You know what I mean? He sees everything's coming. Sharp punches, quick punches, very good timing. Like I say, very good speed. And man, this kid, we believe a lot in this kid. Got a lot in this kid. And of course, you got Alan Pardino. Like I said, I mentioned him. He's 4-0, 5-0. He was a national champion a couple of times, 135-pounder, 21 years old. Like I say, been boxing. I watched him grow up from not barely knowing how to throw the punch, not really wanting to spar, to now he beating up all the grown men, everybody else. 135 pounder. I say you got Jose Camacho. This kid, I've been with him since he was, man, maybe 8 years old or something like that. And this guy's rough, man. This guy's rough. Every time I spar him, and I mean, I got him, but what, 20 some years? But I mean, he was a little kid, man. But when I get in there and spar him, I mean, he got this mean look on his face, and he's coming to get you, you know. But he's a come forward type of fighter, but he can box as well. I would call him a boxer puncher. When he really gets going, he's the type of guy that, once, he's a slow starter, but once that engine gets to cranking, it's up from there. It's just he going to steamroll you after that. He keeps the punches coming, great punch selection. Like I say, this guy is something else as far as when he gets started, so a solid professional, 9-0. And we just need to fight. We just need to get these guys rolling and get these guys with the experience climbing up those steps and get those numbers up, but the talent is there. Definitely. Better V's look like a damn cruiserweight. That red flag on your head will get you slapped in some places. Never. Never. Man, I would love to see Morrell with y'all camp. I think dude is talented. He low-key almost knocked out Bennett. He did catch him with that hook coming in, didn't he? Yes, he did. Bernie, what? And Bowman, why they split up? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I know Bo loved him. I know that for a fact that, a lot of people, were very upset with Keyshawn as they rightly should have been. Very disappointed in his behavior and all the way around the board. But I know Bo wanted to work with him still. He understands what it is to be young and had the pressures of life and being a world champion and things like that. And just being young, you don't always make the best decisions. You're not, the most grounded when you're, young. And, Keyshawn, he's a hothead. So, he just, Bo gave him grace. And I don't know what happened after that, and all you can ask for is grace, in that situation, But if I was Keyshawn, you couldn't expect nobody to be jumping up and down at your behavior. It was appalling. It was very embarrassing. It was unprofessional, and it was just in bad taste. Everything about it was in bad taste. I think he let the whole city down. I think he let his family down. They were very disappointed in him. We're not gonna. It's nobody's turning on you. But we're disappointed in you. And I think, when you do things that's disappointing to others, I think, there's nothing wrong with voicing your displeasure. That's with anybody, when you're disappointed, you're not acting right. You're not being as you should. You know what I'm saying? So, but, he's on to new things, and I wish him nothing but the best. What's good, Bernie? I really seen Mickey Bay says Devin can still make 40. If that's the case, then why they pushing Shakur to fight him at 147? Well, you're not going to give up your world championship or go down, to fight a guy. You know what I'm saying? So I understand where he's coming from with that. He's not going to drop, if you can keep 7 pounds and still be great, why? Why would you drop the 7 pounds? He wouldn't even give him a higher percentage. You know what I'm saying? Then, so he's not going to do him no favors. And I guess Devin Haney don't owe nobody no favors. He only owe himself, to try to get a guy like Shakur on his resume, to get a guy like that, just to get in the ring with him, in an official match, to say I fought the best available, I fought the best available. And, a lot of fighters these days, the check is already there. They already get more money than they ever would have got than back in the days, But I guess the legacy is really not there, I can't say that Floyd Mayweather, if that was his aim, I don't know the ins and outs, but, the narrative is about Floyd, how he picked and chose to somewhat make his career look a little bit better than what it was, but we all know from his skill set and his talent, that this guy is an all-time great, but fighting guys at the right time and saying different things like that, these are the narratives that they put on Floyd Mayweather, and I think these guys are in the mode of the same way. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to pick and choose when to fight a guy and trying to make the most out of their opportunities to enhance their legacy. It's not really like I'm putting them, I want the bull right next to me. I want, somebody just as hungry, just as talented as me. Somebody's always trying to find some other advantage than their skill set. So, I don't know, but like I say, Devin don't owe nobody. And I think that actually, I think that fight has passed. I think that ship has sailed. I think Shakur is really a 35 pounder. Can't get the big fight with Tank. So the next best fight will be at 140, who with Teofemo, who's a world champion, true world champion, two-time true world champion, and so that's Shakur's route. Like I say, Devin would have did it for the accolades, and it was a big fight. It didn't happen. Devin is on his way doing his thing, and Shakur is on his way doing his thing. So, it is what it is. Let those guys go ahead and do their thing. But I think that fight is over with. They didn't scratch that, because like I say, Shakur's a 35 pounder. I think the most is 40. That's the highest he should go. And like I say, really at 35, So it's I don't know. Maybe you get the Tank fight. Lord willing, hope he gets the Tank fight. Hopefully he gets the Tank fight, and the world gets to see, who's guys, because that's gonna be the huge fight. It's gonna be Crawford and Spence, baby. It's gonna be a baby Crawford and Spence for real. It's been taking them forever to do the fight. You know what I'm saying? These guys are the best in the division. It's gonna be that fight. Devin Haney's biggest fight could be Keyshawn. Keyshawn don't have that many fights, but Devin, these guys, he getting the Brian Norman on his record. He got the other good guys on his record. You know what I'm saying? And fighting Keyshawn Davis, depending on how he look against Jermaine Ortiz, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be a huge thing for him. So maybe it happens like that. But I wouldn't even interested in Shakur and Devin right now, because I don't think the fight's going to happen. Carter, can you give me that juice? Can you give me that pop from out of there? Been talking so damn much. Appreciate everybody in the chat, man. Like I said, man. Hope we got 51. We had 51 minutes. I got 54 people in there. I got 43 likes. Let me get 10 more likes. Whoever you is, wherever you at, give me 10 more likes. John Dollar 770 says BNB Boxing best team in boxing. Yes, sir. Berno Jeezy 7847. What up, though, Bernie? What country did you have the best experience in? All of them. All of them. The few that I went. Outside of my honeymoon, where I went to Jamaica, where did I go? They took me to Dominican Republic for WO convention, and I went to the orange one, not the pop, the stuff that we got. Yeah, the WBO, like I said, they treated us real well. I had a great time just in Colombia. I had a great time in Dominican Republic, man. So I'm not one for travel, but they treated us real good, and I was so excited about that. So yeah, good stuff. Hitman Sports Media. He says it's just annoying to hear the narrative that Shakur ducked or is ducking him. Never. You seen that, but I ain't gonna get on that. Like I say, all my things about Haney, I gave the reasons why I might have been a little more critical of Haney. But you ain't gonna get nowhere doing that shit anyway. But I ain't want to hold my tongue, and that's how I felt. But they always said if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say it at all. So I'm taking heed. Haney wanted no smoke with Shakur at 135. Johnny Dollar says, you think Errol Spence coming back to boxing? Can he train at B&B? For sure. I heard that we could be working with him. I did hear that. I ain't gonna say who I heard it from and when I heard it, but I did hear that, and I don't think we'd be opposed to that. I don't think we'd be opposed to that. But I don't know if he's going to fight because he's taking a long time. We about to go on 4 years now. We about to be, 3 years. Is it 3 years? What was that, 2022? When was the fight, 2022? 2023? This 2026, so that's about to be 3 years. I mean, damn, he damn near doing like Ali did. They banned Ali for 3 years, you know what I'm saying? But he look healthy. He look happy, still got baby with him, man. But the business, Errol Spence is a big star. Errol Spence is a big star. He ain't just going to get in there just to get in there. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, he said he don't take no tune-ups. So he just need the right opportunity. Shakur is going to win, but I think Tio will make it closer than people think. Definitely. I mean, on paper it is. It's a 50-50 fight. Random question. Have you seen that heavyweight Tio Mona fight? Do you think he could be a real problem? Nope, but I did hear about him. Easy Work Boxing says, Bernie, as far as legacy and accomplishment in boxing, do you think Terrence has surpassed Floyd Mayweather and many of the other former fighters? I say yes. No one's done that. No one, no one's done what he's done in like 80 years. I want y'all to know my super chat is coming. I'm reading all the questions, and I love interaction with you guys. But everybody else got a super chat going, and my super chat is coming soon. All right. But if you want to help the channel grow, go ahead to Cash App, Bernie the Boxer. You feel me? You can see it on my link in the bio. Cash App, Bernie the Boxer. You hear me? I got the channel monetized. You know what I'm saying? I got the assets going up. I got the new studio getting put together right now. You know what I mean? And we gonna turn the show up. So like I said, if you want to help the channel grow, do me a couple things: like, subscribe, share, and hit the Cash App. You know what I'm saying? Bernie the Boxer. Okay. Now, the one thing I had to think, I was talking to Red. And we always say who's the greatest, and they the greatest. It's so many greats out there. You can never say who the greatest. You know, you can have some that stand out to you, you know, at that time, or you know that always stands out. But it's so many greats, you know. So let's just enjoy each for everything that they is, and there has to be no comparison. You know, records are meant to be broken, but one thing, you know, I don't know. I like I say, Crawford has accomplished a lot of things that he's did, and Mayweather has accomplished a lot of things he did. They both 5-weight world champions, if I'm not mistaken. They both 5-weight world champions. They're both had the Ring Magazine belt 4 times. I think I don't know if Floyd had it in 4 weights though. Floyd was a 30-pound champion, 35-pound champion. 47, 54. So yeah, 4 different weights. And Crawford did the same thing. And the other one is Manny Pacquiao. But I think the things that they do have in common is that they so much better than the competition. I think that we say their skill set and their IQ was on display, and you could see that they was levels above their competition. You know, you wouldn't peg nobody to beat them. You know, they almost unbeatable. And so in that sense, you know, like I say, they both great, you know, all-time greats, you know, and it's not about that. Floyd did tremendous work. I love to see him fight. I love everything that he did in that boxing ring, you know, and he made it look beautiful when he did it. And I think Crawford is of the same mode. So, you know, man, it is what it is. It's all in your mind, you know, what do you think? But in my opinion, like I say, I just let those guys both be those guys. What do you think about boxers going pro with little to no amateur experience? You know, I think the amateurs is great. At least they was great. And it's still great. The amateur system is great because getting up in the ring is, you know, especially when you go to a national tournament, excuse me, you know, you never know. When, you know, once you turn open, you can draw the national champion the first day. You never know who you're going to fight. It's a toss-up. So you're always on edge, and you're going to fight so many different styles. So I think the amateurs is a great situation, you know, for you to get your feet wet in boxing. You know, you got to learn to go through the weight. You got to learn to, you know, get your do the training, conditioning training, and everything like that. And the fast-paced boxing. I think it's a good thing. So I would definitely give advice to go amateur first. You know, go as high as you can in the amateurs. No, I don't ever think Key and Shakur should fight, and nor do I want them to fight. John Dollar says, Ben saying he gotta go Omaha. You need about 4 years after that ass whooping. All respect to Spence. It's all love. Man, say. Spence should be good. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's more the business. Bernie, is there a chance Bud Crawford comes out of retirement to fight anyone? I doubt it. Mine Yours says, I think Cora Floyd versus Diego fight. In my opinion, Cora gonna stop boy, and the ref gonna stop it. And remember, after a Cepeda fight, he said he working on his strength. Hey, that was a breakout performance for Floyd Mayweather. And this could be a breakout performance for Shakur if he steps into that mode. Floyd Mayweather was a killer. That's what people fail to realize. Floyd Mayweather's a killer. He was defensive, but he was very offensive at the same time, too. I mean, Floyd Mayweather, man, you got a case for Floyd being the greatest fighter ever lived, for real. When you're talking about a guy like, man, and you got a case for guys, you can imagine them not wanting to fight Floyd neither, especially before the money came in. You know what I mean? Especially before the money came in. This guy, like what Ali said, he said, I got out the bed, I hit the light, turned the light switch off. I was, before the room got dark. I was back in the bed before the room got dark. That's how Floyd was coming, so. I mean, I can see a lot of those guys not wanting to put their title or their reputation on the line against Floyd Mayweather when the financial business wasn't as high, because Floyd wasn't always a cash cow. He wasn't always a guy that sold the house out, even as talented as he was. Xander Zayas versus Abras, a better fight than Teo and Core. I doubt it. Nah, not at all. Nobody did it like Bud. An entire division tried to freeze him out. And look at him now. PBC stood for protecting from Bud Crawford, and he overcame. Yeah, that's just karma. That's just karma, pure karma. And like I say, they did everything to shut him out, to kick him out, to start a narrative about so many different things. But like I say, when God got it for you, who can be against you? He said, you and Champ got to make a podcast and get that podcast money. Yeah, he do real good on them shows, don't he? You right. If I can get him, but the Champ's so busy, man. You just going to have to deal with Bernie for the time being. They not on there. What'd he say? They not on there. I don't know what that means. Okay. So listen, man, I appreciate everybody in the chat. You know what I'm saying? I love the comments. Keep them coming. Again, the super chat is coming. I got my boy Matt Billy working on that right now. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to help the channel grow, of course, you know what I'm saying? Cash App, Bernie the Boxer. Get the likes up, please. Subscribe to my channel. You catch me on Instagram at Bernie the Boxer. Of course, my YouTube channel, Bernie the Boxer. Man, and just check for me. Appreciate you, everybody that's going. Just keep supporting the kid. Keep tuning in. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't get a chance to catch me right now, which is cool. It's Sunday. Everybody probably getting ready for another day. But run it back. Leave some questions, comments. You know what I'm saying? Definitely going to answer them, because I'm with the people, so. Hold on, one more. He said, do you think Terrence should come back and fight one more time to headline at the Memorial Stadium to fight Lara for his 100? That'll be great. That'll be spectacular. That'll be spectacular. That's the one thing that I forgot about is the Memorial Stadium joint. But maybe, I don't know. Just maybe, but right now, like I'm saying, the kid lives a vegan lifestyle. So who knows? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Maybe he come back, maybe he don't. I don't know. But that would be great right there. And I think Lara's a good opponent. I don't think he looked that good in his last fight. But when you're watching Crawford, no matter, people just want to see him get it done. That'll be the thing. It's not about who he's fighting. It's just about him fighting and watching a legend, go at it one more time. So who knows? But that'll be a great thought. And appreciate you for you know what I'm saying, for your comment. Okay, so like I say, man, listen, I ain't going to hold y'all no more. You know what I'm saying? You know who it is. You know what it is. It's yours truly. It's Bernie the Boxer. And just like that, I said, I'm gone. Said, I'm gone. I'm gone.